Hello and welcome to our bi-weekly webinar study sessions here from the Institute of Real Estate Education. You know, these are very valuable because we actually look at different exam questions, about 20 some of them, maybe about 24 tonight. And we get into these exam questions and we go through them like you're taking a test. And a lot of students have really been helped by these because you're not so scared when you go into the test center. You kind of know what to expect. And, you know, these bear striking resemblance to the type of things that you're going to see because, you know, they only have different test items that they have on the test each time. Um, if you're interested in that or not, I don't know. I was in back east actually writing test questions one time and asked them, how do you defend your exam? You know, I mean, if the state has a bad month and you know the failure rate cropped up to some unacceptable level like 65% or something failed the test, how do you defend your test? And they said, well, Rick, we have 25 questions that are always the same, so if we have a real bad failure rate in one particular month, we just pull those 25 questions off and regrade the test on those 25. And if the failure rate is about the same, well, then you know you just had some students that were not very well prepared. If on the other hand, after doing that, they would pass the 25, but they didn't, well, then there's something wrong with the test question that they were using. You know, there was too many things on it that weren't really covered in class or whatever. But anyway, that's just a little insight. But tonight we're going to be looking at some of these concepts and questions. And with us today is Mr. Matt Cliff, who is really the backbone of the Institute of Real Estate Education. He's the guy that makes it all work. You know, and the owner is Dan, and you know, Dan makes sure that everything is, you were always ahead of the curve, and that we have the best school in the state of Utah. So let's look at number one, please. Matt, bring her up. And in this one, it says Kay is holding an open house on a cul-de-sac, and they want to put a sign on the corner of the street to direct people to the open house. So what is true? What is true? Okay, when you're doing these open house signs, it's polite and necessary actually to get permission to put open house signs up. Well, wait a minute. That's, you know, you're not listing that property on the corner. It's just a directional that brings people into the neighborhood to where your property is. Doesn't matter. You should get probably just verbal would be fine. I've never heard of anyone getting getting verbal permission from someone, then they came out and revoked it. And, you know, I mean, it's, you know, people are nice. So Kay is holding this open house. So what is true? They cannot place signs anywhere except on the open house? No. They must notify the owner of the house every location where they plan to put up a sign. Why would the owner care? I mean, you're putting these signs up on other people's properties, usually to bring them into the neighborhood. They must compensate. No. And they must get permission. So the correct answer to this one is D. You must get permission from any property owner where you want to put up an open house sign, which probably means you probably ought to get there before Saturday and say, I want to hold an open house this Saturday, and you know, or whatever day you want to hold the open house, and get permission. Does it have to be in writing? I don't know. It wouldn't hurt to get it in writing, but I don't think you're going to get a lot of them in writing. Just verbal is the way we've always done it, and I've never seen anybody have a problem.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the video. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of them. And if you want even more review material, we have in the PrepMyExam link in the comments. We've got a plethora of practice exams. We have audiobooks. We have an exam simulator. We have everything that our students use to pass the exam on their first try. Okay? And if you want to get licensed in Utah, check out realestateonlinelearning.com and we'll hook you up.
Number two, please. A real estate agent, J, is representing the buyer P, and they're submitting an offer to the seller M, who's represented by agent Q. Boy, P's and Q's. All right. To whom must J disclose that he's P's agent? Okay. Now, J's the real estate agent, and he's working for P. You know, he's representing him, which in our state means you have a contract with the buyer. It'd be a buyer's contract. You could also be representing M too, but it's not going there. It just talks about, you know, there's actually a different agent on the seller side, and that's Q. So to whom must J disclose that he is P's agent and everybody, which would be P, Q, and M. Okay. We're not secret agents. you know, you need to disclose to everyone. Now, does that mean that you have to give them a copy of your agreement? Mm, no, but you could have some sort of a statement that you put together, or you could have the representation agreement. The reason I'm saying that is because you don't necessarily want just anybody knowing what your arrangement is with the buyer, how much the buyer is paying or not paying, and whatnot. So some of these things aren't anybody's business. You want to keep a little more confidential, or you may not. It's up to you. But P, Q, and M, D is the correct answer. Let's look at number 3. We're talking about a double contract, and this is a real no-no. I mean, you've had it pounded in your head a number of different ways, but a double contract is used to represent two clients, hides information from the lender. Hang on to that one. C is common practice, or it protects the lender. It is not common practice. In fact, it is a prohibited practice. It's going to get you in big trouble. You will lose your license, and you'll never get another one in another state, because they all communicate with each other. It is common practice, no, and it protects the lender, of course not. It is actually a practice that is used to disadvantage a lender, because you're hiding information from the lender. And that's why B is the correct answer. Okay? Not a problem. Number 4. What must a licensee include when advertising properties listed by their brokerage? Okay, so you're going to put up an ad. It could be a big banner sign you tack onto the fence. Might be a TV ad, might be a radio ad, might be a print ad, and it could just be a sign, But on all these different types of advertisements, okay, you've always got to have the brokerage name, which is A. Now, you don't have to have the principal broker's name. It's the name of the company that's the way it is licensed. Associate brokers that are working with the firm, no, you don't have to do that. And your name, it's the brokerage name, not the broker, but the brokerage. Hot Dog Realtors, and our broker is Susie Sweetie. Okay. Number 5. Here we go. Commission rate on a real estate transaction, excuse me, is it set by division rules? No. Division doesn't get involved with commissions as far as setting rates or enforcing one company to pay, excuse me, like they promised to. They say just go sue each other. We expect you to be honest and fair with each other. We're interested if you're cheating, but are determined by the company policy and cannot be changed. Company policy, I'm sure, but commissions are negotiable. Cannot be changed by clients, can always be negotiated. So, like, gave it away, it's a D, can always be negotiated. Okay. Sure. It's best to negotiate them up. Probably they're going to want to negotiate them down. Let's look at number 7. Here we go. Okay. So, oh, yeah. No. Okay. All right. 6. Agent L wants to encourage their client to list with them, so they'll draft a listing contract that says that the seller will get their asking price for the home, and any money received over the asking price goes to the agent. Oh my gosh. Guys, that's blatantly illegal, because what that is called is a net listing. So the correct answer to this one, of course, is B. They must give half the revenue to their broker. Well, what your split with the broker is what it is. I mean, it doesn't have to be half. It could be more. It could be less. The agent must get written permission from the client. C. Well, that we do have to have written permission. We have to have listing contracts that are done in writing. But that's not where we're going with this question. What we're describing here is a net listing. Net listings are illegal in the state of Utah, in most states. In fact, I don't know a state where it is legal. The agent must give written permission from the client. It doesn't matter. It's still illegal. Client must meet with the broker before signing. No. Most clients never meet the broker. I mean, come on. You have a big brokerage, 300 agents. They're not going to meet the broker. Number 7, here we go. Client wants to give a tip, wow, to their agent. And so they just hand them an envelope that has 500 Benjamin Franklins in it, which is true. The agent need not notify their broker. The agent must give the money to their broker. The agent must give half the money to their broker. The agent must apply the money towards their broker's license. Don't forget D. It'd be nice to have some money to apply to your broker's license, but that's not a requirement of this 500. The agent need not notify their broker. You always let the broker know what's going on, and any compensation. Um, I had a client that gave me a Mercedes Benz. I mean, I did real well for that client, and I always admired his little two-door Mercedes. And he drove up one day and handed me the title, because it was a bonus. So did I have to let my broker know? Yeah. Well, lucky for me, I was the broker. But if I'd been working for another broker, I don't know, maybe we'd have to work out a deal. Like you can have it on weekends, and I get it out during the week. Every other day. I don't know. But uh, these things have to be negotiated out. But one thing for sure, it's probably not in your employment agreement. If you are given a car as payment, here's how we're going to handle that. So, number 7, the answer is B. The agent must give the money to their broker. Okay. There are no secret tip bonuses. Everything is paid through your broker. The broker is the only one that can give you a check. So they pay the broker takes their cut, or maybe they don't. I don't know. It depends what your employment agreement says. If they're, some employment agreements address bonuses and others do not. There is no standard brokerage employment agreement, like we have standard listings that are approved by the state of Utah. So, but you should have a written agreement with your broker, and you should particularly have everything spelled out on commissions. Particularly if you have existing commissions that have not been paid yet because it hasn't closed yet, and you want to leave and go to a new firm. Well, how is that handled? All listings belong really to the broker. So the broker, if you don't have that addressed up front, and they pull a scene like out of, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where he's telling his son, "You're going to leave me? You're going to leave me? I can't believe it." They get pretty dramatic, maybe. Yeah, I'm going with another broker. Gives me more money and pays attention to me. But anyway, you should have a written agreement, and it should define, how all this will pan out. Number 8, please. 8, a real estate broker receives referrals from his friend who's not licensed, and he gets these every month. Hmm. He's always careful only to give a gift of $100 each time. What is true? Is S following the rule? S is not following the rule because continual referrals for money are considered solicited. Yeah, see, that's the problem. It's B is the right answer here, but let's look at C. C is not following the rules because he cannot give gifts over $50. S is not no, that you can give a little bit more than that now. S is not following the rules because the broker cannot ever compensate a non-licensed person. Well, you can, it depends on what's compensation. You can give them a little nice gift up to $200 for an unsolicited referral. Now, what this is, if this guy has I don't know, maybe they're concierge at the Little America or something, and people come in, they stay there while they're looking for their new multi-million-dollar homes. Um, cool, especially if they're coming in from out of state. But you know, the problem is you can't have a relationship where it's a continuous thing. It has to be an unsolicited referral. Okay, so take that any way you want to take it. But if it's going to be a regular thing, really the best course of action would be to get that individual, this friend, licensed so that they could legitimately receive referrals. And they probably get more than $100 each too. Look at number 9. We are looking at number 9, and number 9 says a real estate agent G receives an unsolicited referral. Okay, that's good. From his neighbor, and he gives the neighbor a gift of $500. What is true? Well, could he have his license suspended? What do you think, guys? Yeah. Why? Too much money. The cap is $200. So, don't pay more than that. The G is within the division rules. No, too much money. A G must get a receipt. Oh, it's nice to get a receipt. I mean, that would make the IRS likes that better. Or D, a G must be a broker to give a gift over 150. No. Anything that has anything to do with the commission has to be approved by the broker, of course, and it has to be paid through the broker, of course. But that's a little bit beyond what we're talking about on this question here. And moving right along, let's go to number 10. Client signs a listing agreement, which is true. A, the client represents the agent who represents the broker. The client represents the agent. Well, that's not right. B, the agent represents their broker who represents the client. Kind of like that one. Look at C. Broker represents the agent. No, broker doesn't represent you. You represent the broker. Okay. The agent represents the client who represents the broker. Okay. Well, out of all these complicated ones here, it is B, of course. The agent represents their broker who represents the client. Okay. That shouldn't be much of a mystery to you. That should be an easy one. Let's look at number 11, please. In a real estate auction, the principal broker must be the auctioneer. B, A, no. B, supervise the actual sale. Yes. C, assign a sales agent. No. This is why we don't have a lot of auctions in Utah. The broker has to attend the auction. Now he doesn't have to call it. He's not the one, hey, and all that, with the auction gibberish that they use. The auctioneer can do that, but he's there to fill out the Rep C contract. All the auction really does is determine the price, and then of course the terms were set out so that people would know that they have to pay cash for a certain period of time or whatever. But really, the auction just determines the price, and they know the other terms, or they wouldn't have come to the auction. Anyway, deliver the proceeds to the real estate commission. No, they're regulators, man. They don't get proceeds out of deals. All right. So the correct answer, obviously, is supervise the actual sale of the real estate being auctioned, which the actual sale, after the price is determined by the auctioneer and the crowd, the highest bidder. You fill out a standard Rep C contract, and that's how what you're doing. All the auction does is just determine the price and perhaps the terms they were told up front. Be cash. Number 12. Regardless of where the closing takes place, who is responsible to ensure that the settlement statement is accurate and reflects the terms agreed to in the real estate purchase contract? Is it the principal broker, the associate broker, the office manager, or the real estate commission in downtown Salt Lake? Well, don't think it's the real estate commission. These guys, those 5 people, they're only bopping to town once or twice a month anyway. So, they're not, and they have to come from 5 different counties. So, there's always one from Salt Lake County, usually Provo or Utah County, and usually Ogden as well, or Weber County. And I mean, and then St. George. It doesn't leave a whole lot for the smaller counties, but what we're talking about on number 12, guys, is it's the principal broker. And they're responsible for the accurate settlement statements, which is kind of puzzling because in most of your office situation, what will happen is you'll be the one looking over the figures to make sure they were correct. And of course, after it closes, the broker looks over the figures. But if there's a mistake, then they've got to run around and get it all solved. But that's just what we do. Some brokers will actually go a day in advance and try to read the settlement sheets, but unfortunately, most deals involve lenders for the borrowers. They're bringing in a lender to help them buy the property, and These lenders that work with borrowers on real estate deals, they are notoriously slow, in getting those settlement statements figures to the title company so they can work up the settlement sheets. So I don't know. I like to get everything done the day before, but sometimes, guys, it just doesn't happen. And so we have some new federal laws now that state that the borrowers have they have the right, and thou shall do this, to see all these figures, at least a day or so before the closing. So, uh, y- if you're not doing a lot of closing, this may trip you up because you don't realize that, you got to get it scheduled and get it done. Um, most agents, just by habit, and they don't know why they're doing it. So I'm going to tell you why, and why you don't have to do it in a lot of transactions. And what I'm talking about is this. I'm talking about preparing the settlement sheets. The title companies are going to do it. I mean, you should be able to do it, and you should be able to look them over and make sure they're correct. But that's just going to take a little bit of practice. But uh, but the principal broker is responsible for the accuracy. So because of that, if you wanted to use hot dog title and your principal brokers has had problems with hot dog title in the past, where they screwed up on a settlement sheet and they won't stand good for it, and whatnot. If your broker says we don't use hot dog, you don't use hot dog. Okay, you have to use a different title company. Because they're responsible for the accuracy, and if this company is notoriously inaccurate, then that's just going to lead to problems for the broker, and they don't need problems. Let's go to the next one, please, which is number 14. Right. Right. Okay. On
We're
number
on
f-
13.
Oh, 13. Okay. Which of the following office tasks must an assistant have a license to perform? Now, assistants can do a lot of things, but they can't do everything. I mean, to do everything, you have to have a real estate license, okay? But what about delivering a lockbox, for someone to put on a house, or even installing it or taking it off? What about typing up documents? What about copying and distributing flyers? Okay. What about calling past clients for referrals? All right. Well, probably the lockboxes and typing things, that sounds good to you. Copying and distributing flyers, well, guys, that's okay too. Um, I mean, that's more of a clerical type thing, you know. But D, calling past clients for referrals, you need a license to do that. Okay, so if you're gonna, now, can your unlicensed assistants call current clients and say, "Oh, the closing will be Thursday. Wanted you to know, you should be receiving a document from the title company telling you how much money to bring in." And we have a process to make sure that those are accurate. So, call me as soon as you get that information. But that's more of a clerical task. But calling past clients for referrals, that's something you need a license for. Okay, number 14. Here we go. A personal assistant to a broker decides to get their real estate license. Cool. So now I have a licensed personal assistant. Once they're licensed, they will only be able to accept payment for real estate activities. Why? I mean, couldn't you be delivering pizzas? I mean, also, yeah. So we have a license, uh, so you can only get paid once a month, direct from their broker, an hourly wage or after hours. Guys, it really is not a lot's changed. You can still only be paid direct from your what? Broker. Okay. Your buyers and sellers can't pay you directly. We had a previous question a few moments ago where the buyer wanted to pay a bonus, 500 bucks, whatever it was. That still has to go through the broker. All payment goes through the broker. Referrals, whatever it is, it goes through the broker. Okay. Number 15. R is buying a home as is. Now, as is means that, you're not probably going to get an inspection. You still could, but as is means that the seller's not going to have to make any repairs. The seller's agent, L, walks them through the home for final inspection. L notices there's mold on the wall in the storage room, but they also notice that R didn't see it, which is true. Well, I think, looking this over, which would be fair and which would be true, R is responsible for finding all issues regardless if the agent knows about them. Okay, that's R. He's the buyer. Okay. Seller's agent is L. Okay. And so L's walking this buyer through. He's walking him through. You notice they don't see it. R should get their own agent if they want someone to notify them of mold. No. If R noticed the mold, you've got to let, or even if R didn't notice the mold, the agent L needs to let R know. Okay. L must notify R of the mold they found, or they could be held liable. Okay, guys, that's it. That's the right answer. And L cannot disclose the mold because they're duty to the seller. Now, any material defect, and mold definitely would be a material defect. A material defect means that there's going to be some money involved in getting it corrected. Okay. Okay, let's go to number 16, please. Why is a limited agent? Now, what is a limited agent, real quick? Remember, gang? Limited agent is representing both the buyer and the seller. Anyway, that's what Y's doing here. That's why he's a limited agent. He's representing both buyer and seller on a transaction. What fiduciary duties will they not be able to perform for their clients? Care and good faith? No, you still got to do that one for sure. Okay. How about full disclosure and loyalty? Well, that's the problem, because you have to. Limited agent means you're representing both the buyer and the seller. Okay, you can do that. It's not a problem, but confidentiality is going to be somewhat, and maybe full disclosure and loyalty, prudence, diligence, honesty, integrity. Those things you must always do. Okay, it doesn't really matter who you're representing. But on this one, number 16, the correct answer is B, full disclosure and loyalty. That's where you're going to run into trouble, because full disclosure, you got to keep the seller's secret secret and the buyer's secret. And you won't be you have to be loyal to both parties, which means, generally speaking, a buyer would probably want you to find out anything you can find out and let them know. But if you're representing both people, like you are here, you got to be fair and honest to both. So you got to walk that pipeline, that fine line, and you can do it. Just have your broker kind of hold your hand, work you through that till you've done a few. Number 17, who can legally create a contract for a buyer and a seller to use? Create a contract. Well, it's not an agent, it's not a broker, and it's not a loan officer, guys. I mean, who writes contracts? Who creates contracts? We don't create a contract. We fill out the form of a approved agreement, and that's been created for our use. It doesn't have to be state approved, but it has to be written by an attorney for our use. And the best example of this is all home builders have their own contract that they write on their new homes, and they have their attorneys write those. So that's where that contract came from. Wasn't the agent, certainly it wasn't the broker, and it wasn't a loan officer. Number 18, please. What contract can a real estate agent use for their client to purchase a home? Only the approved Rep C? Any contract drafted by an attorney or their client. Okay. Only contracts drafted by their broker. Only contracts drafted by the attorney general. Well, C and D, guys, no, we're not going to go there. I mean, they're only contract drafted by the attorney general. God, that's a state office, a pretty high level state office, and they don't write contracts for the thousands and thousands of contracts every month that are written in the state. That's what we do. Okay. And others. C, only contract drafted by the broker. No, 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 no. Only contract by an attorney or their client, or only the approved Rep C. So to these guys, any contract drafted by an attorney or their client. Then, like I said, you're selling a new home builder's home. That's going to be something that's drafted by their attorney. Okay, it's not going to be the standard Rep C. Okay, I guess that's it for tonight. We had all 18 questions. Want you to know that you're welcome to call anytime. My number is 801-556-8000. That's 556-8000. Area code for the state of Utah, 801. Happy to help. You can also call the office, and we're happy to help you with questions there as well. We have Neil and a few others on the staff that just like me, can call, and we're happy to help. We want you to get through the exam, and we definitely want you to get through the exam the first time so you don't screw up our stats. So if you're confused on something, call us. We want you to, okay? It's part of your tuition. Appreciate you being with us tonight, and have a great week. And get ready for that exam and just slip right in there and pass it the first time. If you're needing a little help, I do have a Quizlet program I'd be happy to send you. You can email me at rick@rickroller.com, rick@rickroller.com. Say, hey, send me that Quizlet thing, or send me that test help thing for the passing the Utah real estate exam. Be happy to send it to you. No charge. See you guys out there. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for watching. If you want to show some appreciation to our instructors, be sure to like and subscribe so that they see how much you enjoyed it. And if you want any additional review material, check the links below for our full suite of practice materials for the real estate license exam. Thank you.